Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and Insomnia, if you're watching on the stream, welcome to you too, to the first ever Filthy Casuals podcast. I am your de facto host, Luke. With me today, number 2 in charge here, Jeff. Say hi to the folks at home and wherever they're watching from, listening from.
Salutations.
We got Roger.
Hello. How's it going?
And Sean.
What's up?
So a little backstory real quick, just real minor. Jeff and I have entered the podcasting foray before, and it was utterly horrible. And no, we won't share any of that shit with you, so don't ask. So this is try number 2.
I'll share it with y'all.
No
I'll
you
bootleg
won't.
that shit.
I'll boot my foot in your ass.
Roger will have it up on his website, fbi.gov.
Yes.
Anyway, got several interesting ideas on what we're going to talk to you about today. But I was thinking that we talk about games. Does that sound good to you? I think we all know that pretty well.
God damn it, I thought this was going to be fucking a parenting seminar.
Well, you know, better late than never. So,
What are your favorite types of bagels?
So we're going to start off. We'll go a little around the room here, starting to my left, which is where I assume Jeff is. Jeff, what are you playing recently?
Whoa, more like, what am I playing right now? I have been playing The Witcher 3 fanatically, I guess is the word.
Say the whole. Use the whole title, Jeff. Say the whole title.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's due.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, Geralt's Revenge.
The Witcher 3, the Mindgate Conspiracy.
You can't have any confusion now.
All right, Sean, what about you? What are you up to this week?
I am also playing The Witcher 3 on PC, though.
I think I smell a topic coming up already. And Roger, other than the Nuclear Throne stream this afternoon, has anything else been on your plate?
Oh yeah. Unlike everyone else, I have not played Witcher. I've been playing just Darkest Dungeon because that new update came out, and Nuclear Throne because I want to get decent at it. I'm still bad.
And not to mention your ridiculously lucky Isaac run earlier as well.
That was all skill.
Oh, yeah,
It takes skill to get Brimstone on the second floor after having Mom's knife.
Yeah, I'm sure it does, you fucking
For,
Nerd!
And
You guys are speaking Greek right now.
as for myself, it's been a fair variety of things, actually. Still playing a little NBA 2K15, but that's neither here nor there. Mostly Monster Hunter 4, and also Puzzle and Dragons Z plus Super Mario Edition, which promptly went back to GameFly after 2 days. Not that it's bad.
That was a lot of words.
Yeah, it was. And then also, I believe I'm the only one among us who's playing or actively played Splatoon, so which is quite fun. And as I told Roger earlier, strangest compliment I've ever paid a game, but the ink looks amazing. So that's what's on the table right now. Any thoughts, real quick, on what you guys have been playing? Sean, Jeff, specifically you guys, since The Witcher 3 is a very recent release. Any thoughts towards it?
I'll let Jeff go.
I personally have said this before. I don't get engaged in too many games like this, but if I fucking sunk about 40 hours into it already, and I'm not even fucking close to done, so.
Yeah, I'm about there. I'm about 51, 52 hours in, and I love that there's so much more to do. And I'm glad, Jeff, that you gave it another, I should say, like a 4th chance, since you were about to send it back.
We're not talking about the same game. I was in love with this from minute 1.
Okay. You kept saying you were tired of it shitting the bed on you, so you were gonna send it back, and I told you just keep trying.
The second.
Oh well, yeah. At first it wasn't working because the
Yeah.
Xbox One version was fickle at first until they fixed it. But yeah.
The second Jeff got it working, he stuck his dick into the USB port on the side because it was that good.
Oh, and it's that good.
Didn't they have problems on all systems though? Like I know PC had a save issue. I don't know if they fixed it yet or not. But
No,
like it's deleting saves.
That issue is actually prevalent on all versions. That's the only thing I think they haven't fixed yet.
Oh yeah,
No,
there's,
they fixed
there's
it.
definitely issues.
Oh,
Yeah.
did they fix the save issue finally? Last I'd heard.
Yeah, they had
hadn't.
like a half gig update the other day
Okay.
for it.
Mm.
Well, there you go. The best of our knowledge, everything's fixed. Play The Witcher 3.
Yep.
All right, so that being transitioning to the near future, what are we looking forward to here, gentlemen? We'll go in reverse this time. Roger, you're first. What are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to?
Yeah.
Oh man, XCOM 2.
Absolutely.
Oh shit!
Like I saw that.
Shit,
I
yeah.
saw that shit, and like, I swear to like I could have like cut glass with my dick. Like I was so excited. That dude, like, oh my
That's the
god!
first time I've heard that.
Like I was that fucking hard. Like I mean, I probably put hundreds of hours into like the very first XCOM, like Enemy Unknown, and not even Enemy Unknown, UFO Defense. I mean,
Way back
like,
in the day.
way back, yeah, back when it was hardcore, not like this pushy XCOM shit now. But
Hey man, even on easy, that shit is fucking hard. Enemy unknown, man.
oh man, UFO Defense is like a whole other level because it
think-
was like so unfair.
If you think
And-
Enemy Unknown is hard, which to be fair, it's to a degree it's difficult. UFO Defense will like shoot your kids, fuck your wife, strangle the dog, and then change your locks on the way out.
Oh, I've definitely I've read that it's difficult. Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, you know, the whole thing where like you're like, oh, I should have been in cover, and the new one, you're like, that's kind of cheap. They could shoot you from off screen in the first one, in the darkness. Your soldier would stand there, and you'd see a shot come off screen from the darkness and kill him.
Jesus,
You have to-
dude.
And you'd have to run troops over as they die, desperately trying to get vision on this dude. Like, that's how unfair that one was. And they could
Oh, but yeah.
invade your base from the start. Like, it was... If you didn't research right, too, you're dead. Just dead all the
Well,
way.
to be fair, the same thing happens with the Enemy Within with the the Long War mod that they made for Enemy Within. Basically took it back to those straights because it's all kinds of unfair.
It's like, if you want an example, like, the first one, it took us, like, months to beat the whole game. And I beat Enemy Unknown my first playthrough. Like,
It's pretty damn good, man. So, before we get too far into an XCOM conversation, Sean, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I think Jeff can attest to this because I have fucking raped his ear quite thoroughly and aggressively.
Yeah, I already know what he's gonna say.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Arkham Knight.
Arkham
More than
Knight,
anything, really.
right around
yeah.
the corner. I do have that on my my GameFly. It's definitely
End
one
of the
that I'll be
month.
checking out. Yep,
Yeah, looking forward to that. Yeah.
absolutely.
I would have to use the same terminology as Roger. Every time I see new footage of how great that game looks and the shit that you can do, like when I saw Nightwing throw the bad guy to Batman and he body slammed him in a tag team maneuver, my dick was also as hard too. I'm
Basically,
gonna have to steal that from you, by the way.
glass is unsafe from us at the moment. Jeff, what's on your plate? What's on the big one for you?
As I've probably texted Sean every single day henceforth, I am still waiting for a release date on Yakuza 5, but I think I'm trying to get off the hype train for Fallout 4 already, because I don't want it to be like... I mean, I'm excited for it, but it's at the same time, it might not happen till next year, so I don't want to be like...
Yeah.
super excited for something that I might have to wait a year for. But
I gotta say, I can't say I've ever been like excited for a Bethesda game. They're good, don't get me wrong. I like them. I spent a fair amount of time with them. I'm instantly excited for Fallout 4, and I don't know why.
Fallout, I love Fallout. Like, so many
Yeah.
fond memories of that game. I burnt out 360s on the last Fallout 3.
Sean,
Like,
Roger,
that's so much of
I
it.
texted him earlier. I was like, "How about that Fallout trailer, bro?" And he goes, "I told Bree I painted the house white."
I think Fallout 3 was my first foray into the universe of that game, and it was quite
Yeah,
an
mine
quite
too.
an entry into the series. It was a very good game.
If you like the story side of things, although the gameplay is a little bit different, a little bit difficult, the first two games are actually really good as well. The same kind of choices you can make, especially playing through Fallout 2 as a low intelligence character, absolutely hysterical. So it's definitely worth checking out. But yeah, I would say I'm actually interested in Fallout 4. I'm looking forward to that. I think my biggest hype right now, and Jeff will know this instantly because it's one of the few games I beat him to knowing about, would be Monster Hunter Cross. Because I'm a fucking whore for that series, and it looks amazing.
You didn't really beat me to it. We found out at the same time. I texted you about it, like, well, I don't know how earlier than you. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We saw it the same day. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was like an hour apart at best. So
It's a great game series, but I feel like it's a little bit Madden-ish, and it's because you can do a lot of the same stuff in every game. So what's new to the game with Cross,
With Cross,
or X to us uninitiated?
yeah, the big thing on this one is they really seem to be streamlining combat a lot and making it more fluid and not as stilted
okay.
as it's been. To be fair, it's got a very good combat system, but it's kind of almost early Demon Souls, Dark Souls-ish in how stilted it is. It works well, but there's noticeable like stoppage between attacks and things like that, and it's very pattern-based. In this one, it looks very fluid. They're adding new super attacks for every weapon.
Is it really more fluid though, or is it like when you tell your parents like, yeah, I'm gonna stay at Bobby's house tonight. I'm not going anywhere else. Like, yeah, the game's gonna be more fluid. I swear. Like,
It looks more fluid from what I've seen so far, from what they've showed so far.
What systems? Same system?
3DS only.
Okay.
It is another 3DS release. From
then I don't care.
what I understand, 4 Ultimate did amazingly well in both markets, so they decided that's the market to keep Monster Hunter at. The biggest
I could agree.
The biggest question is whether or not they're going to keep it in the broken up area way they've had the series entirely in so far, or if they're going to try to expand that into more like wide open maps type stuff. Which will be interesting to see, but I had a long conversation about this earlier, and I'm going to save it for a later segment that we're going to be talking about because I think it falls into that, and it can be a good example for that. So we're going to hold off on that particular argument, but yeah, it just looks a lot more fluid, a lot more streamlined, expanding the movesets. From what I hear, there's also supposed to be style changes within the weapons themselves to give you more options. So
Okay.
It's look like there'll be more than just the standard choose this weapon, go down this path type stuff, which has worked, but more options is nearly always good. So.
I could agree with that. Yeah.
So definitely there. So that's what we're looking forward to right now, and of course that leads quite nicely into a topic I'm skipping ahead to, because we were right around the corner from E3, so this could totally change for all of us what we're interested in with the big gun right around the corner. So that leads quite nicely into whether or not we even need E3 anymore. Jeff, I feel like you have the most off the cuff to talk about this.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like you're the one with the strongest argument against it.
I don't think we've needed E3 for years. And then, I mean, obviously you and some other people I talked to have just been raving about Nintendo being, fucking game show killers, and which doesn't fucking make sense to me. You can't just show one thing and just be like, yep, Nintendo fucking won, guys. Sony, Microsoft, where the fuck were you? I don't know.
To be fair,
I haven't been super impressed.
To be fair to like those other ones, like
one
for
is
Nintendo,
more
as far
than
as
zero.
game shows,
one is more than zero. It's
it's true. But I mean, like, nothing really interesting comes out of E3 anymore. It's all news that they give on their sites anyway, like a week before.
E3 the last few years hasn't really been about the games.
Well, I think it's because now we have access to all that shit as it's happening. Back in like the late 90s and like even early 2000s, there wasn't a whole lot of social media, there wasn't a whole lot of internet coverage for this shit. So you had to find out from like
The
game
Telegraph.
magazines, like Game Informer. You found out through regular means, like your best friend got on the phone with you or something, or he came over your house and said, yeah, man, I read in this, E3 did this and this. So you're like, oh, cool. There was more of a need for it back in those days, where now we can go on, like Jeff with WWE, you can go on and just look at the dirt sheets and find out what's going on the night before the show.
Well, yeah, but it's also, there wasn't a huge array of annual games like Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and everything.
That's true too.
So
Yeah.
we know what's gonna be fucking shown. They're gonna show some new gameplay trailers, maybe the occasional secret that somehow they've kept under wraps. But I mean,
Which is probably it's even impossible these days to keep gaming, keep secrets in that industry.
It's already leaked that Dark Souls 3 is being announced at E3.
But I mean, some of the biggest one just earlier today wasn't even an E3 thing. Like, they didn't even announce Fallout at E3. That would have stolen the show. But they're like, fuck it, we're going to do it before.
Yeah.
Because there's no point.
And Nintendo doesn't even show at the actual conference anymore. They just do Nintendo Direct around the same time.
To be fair, Bethesda might not even be at E3. That's why they're showing it off early.
That's true.
Because Nintendo basically said that, hey, we're not showing Zelda. We're not giving, Nintendo NX news. We're not going.
NX. Somebody tell me what that is.
I was about to ask that too. Is that their new code name for their next console or something?
Is it trying to be cute? Like it's the next thing?
I think it's the next console. I know they keep talking about. I don't know, maybe we could talk more about it later when we know. But from what I heard, they're using like Android processors and everything. So I don't know if it's going to be strictly mobile because I know Nintendo's getting into mobile. But
I read that. Yeah.
I don't know. They're very tight-lipped about it.
So right now we're basically all in agreement that the market and the industry in and of itself has changed enough that E3 kind of seems almost useless now. Pre-rendered trailers that everybody knows are nothing what the game's actually going to look like, especially after the Watch Dogs fiasco a couple years ago. And a whole bunch of focus.
Every game really, is Witcher 3 is guilty of that.
And Witcher 3 still looks fantastic, but but yeah.
Killzone 2 was the one that started that shit, man.
And the early Madden too.
Madden on the 360 was really the one that started it because they had like really in-depth computer graphics on that.
That's where the
I remember the campaign for that too.
That's where the term when Penny Arcade coined bullshot for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the whole bunch of pre-rendered shit, even when they call it. God, do you remember it was either last year or the year before when they were showing? I think they were showing Unity, or it might have been Black Flag, one of the two Assassin's Creed games, where the actual gameplay footage buffered while they were playing it.
Yeah, I remember.
I was like, yeah, that's in game, sure.
Well, I mean, like, it kind of reminds me of like when you go to like McDonald's or any restaurant, and it's like, look at the menu item. Doesn't it look so good? And you get it, and that burger is like so much smaller and so much shittier.
It's slapped really together.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It feels that same way, and sometimes not as dissatisfying because Witcher is still amazing. But I think the problem.
Well, we could have had the McRib, dude. We could have had the McRib.
Well, you get the problem with like they're trying to show it representative for like consoles versus something like a PC where you can have it look as pretty as you want it to look. But they also have it on consoles, so you have to downgrade those specs.
Yeah, the specs.
Especially when they're showing those trailers and the previews on PCs, even though like, oh, this is for console. Like,
yeah.
Is it a problem of them trying to push that as far as they can and degrading it to work good on the console, or should they like degrade it first to show you that?
Well, if they degrade it first, you're gonna get people saying like, "Oh, this is a fucking piece of shit." By showing the pretty graphics and everything, you basically manipulate everybody into thinking like, "Hey, this game's great. There's no way it could look worse."
It's too heavy to focus on graphics. Really, is one of the biggest things that pisses me off. But
one thing I want to point out, there was like all over Reddit today was just fucking, "Hey, the Fallout 4 trailer," and then it was basically hashed out as like, "Oh, the Witcher 3 graphics. These graphics fucking suck." Okay, whatever. And then people were like, Fallout 4 is like, oh, I don't really care about the graphics. Just give me have my money.
Yeah, it's so much hypocritical. Like, that's what I was thinking of when I went and looked up the trailer to watch it earlier today, and I was looking at the YouTube comments because YouTube comments are just the bastion of internet intelligence to begin with. But But like it's so much like you see so much. This game looks like shit. It's too kiddie. Why doesn't Nintendo do some better graphics? It's all good cartoony art shit. And then you get something like Fallout that does honestly that trailer. The graphics in that trailer look pretty dated on at least the character models.
It's probably true to what's actually going to be out. They look extremely, almost exactly like the old graphics.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't have a problem with that, but then you get everybody like, oh, it's Fallout 4, or the world.
It looks a little bit more colorful.
I don't care about the graphics, you know, and I'm like, you're the same fucking people who are having your PC Master Race Wars and your fights between the 1080 and 900 fucking PPI arguments on the PS4 and the Xbox One. You care about graphics, it's just a game you actually want to play is coming out now. So now it doesn't matter. It's a bunch of hypocritical bullshit.
That's not aimed at anyone in this chat.
No, it's not aimed at anyone in this chat. That's aimed at everybody who comments on a YouTube video, though.
But that's the scope of the internet nowadays.
Pretty much. So,
Just like that Battlefront 3 video that I think me and you talked about it, Jeff. And because I kind of got overhyped about it. I'm like, oh man, that's what the game's gonna look like. And then you kind of sent me another text, and I was like, oh wait, yeah, you're right. It's just, it's not gonna look like that. It's
I mean, it's gonna be fun
target.
and everything, but I mean, don't fucking get yourself all hyped up. And
I have my worries about that, dude, because I'm not a big Battlefield fan, and DICE seems to be turning into Star Wars Battlefield, and I'm not sure how that's gonna work.
As long as it doesn't come broken out of the box like 4 was. I mean, that.
You know, Bad Company was. I really enjoyed Bad Company.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone's going to do it, like in a Star Wars game, like I don't want to just be on the ground. I might want to jump in an AT-AT, you know. I want to jump in an A-wing. I want to do all this crazy shit. And like they're the only company that does that well, I think.
Yeah,
I think they lost a lot of followers by saying there's no space battles, which I mean, I guess they could open up into DLC, but god damn, I don't want to talk about DLC right now.
To be fair, I think it's a good call for them to, since it's been a while since there's been a Battlefront, they're doing it on their engine, they're trying to get it right. I really think that's actually a sign of good faith from them to not try to put too much into it.
Pack in it.
Yeah, while they're refining it, exactly.
That's pretty fair.
But that's neither here. Oh, speaking of people backpedaling about mobile stuff, did you see that Konami announcement from yesterday, where they retracted their statement of mobile being the future of gaming after they pissed off pretty much all of their fans?
They're just digging themselves deeper.
Yeah, that whole Konami thing is a topic in
and then
itself.
they retracted about that whole. They had I think Phil Spector or whatever his name is, like, just come out and say like, yeah, we don't know anything about this whole buyout of Silent Hills. Don't know where that came from.
Yeah, sure. That's what we call a suspiciously specific denial.
But anyway. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. We have no intention of buying that. Meanwhile, on the screen behind him, he's fucking playing it. But
something like that.
What was that about a sack of money? No, it doesn't exist.
So
what's that big bag with the dollar sign on it? Oh, that's my laundry.
That's my laundry. That's lunch. Don't worry about that. So that'll lead quite nicely. Good segue into who or what is quote unquote ruining gaming or games in general.
We should go one by one for this, because I'm sure we'll have different opinions.
That's a pretty broad fucking topic.
Yeah, I want to hear like everyone's opinion on it. Like, you know, we'll start with Luke, since Luke's the.
I will start with this one for sure, because this is kind of the conversation I was having with another group of guys I do a podcast with. I guest on their podcast, and in a text conversation that we were all part of, we had this big drawn out argument the other day on whether or not the consumers in this industry actually truly appreciate innovation, or if they prefer familiarity and basically stagnation to an extent. He brought it up when we were talking. This is where the Monster Hunter thing comes back in. He was talking about one of the guys actually hasn't played a Monster Hunter game, but the idea of the worlds when you're out in the hunts being broken into zones that have areas, areas that load between each zone, seemed like an archaic design to him, and he at first thought it was because of like hardware limitations, but originally on the PS2 where the original Monster Hunter was, yes, it was a hardware limitation thing. But they've kind of built a series and the way it works around that now. So that's where it comes back into my other comment from earlier. Changing it that much, making larger, well, maybe not larger areas, but like an open world thing would dramatically change the way the game works and feel because of how they've built it up. And I think, and it became this long conversation about how innovation isn't what people want in the industry. It's familiarity with an expansion and an upgrade on top of that. And I think stagnation is probably my comment on what's quote unquote ruining the industry, because we're seeing a lot of samey stuff because it's a safe bet and it sells, but we're not getting much new, at least in the AAA side of things anymore.
Yeah, I think it depends where you go. Like, I think on the console side of things, that's very true because they're dumping millions of dollars in the AAA titles, and they don't want to have another, like, when, for example, look at Tomb Raider before, when it sells over 1 million copies, millions of copies, and they're still like, oh, this was a failure. Like, that shows you how they put it.
A better example of my point of familiarity being a thing is that, like, look at Assassin's Creed Unity or Master Chief Collection. Both those games were fundamentally broken, and I think they both still are at this point. I haven't played either of them in a while, but I know Master Chief hasn't been fixed. I'm pretty sure Unity hasn't been fixed. And they still were commercial successes because of familiarity, because it was more of what people at least thought they wanted, because they knew the name, they knew how it was going to function. And yet they didn't function. Straight up. There were legitimate problems with the games even working at points. But they still outsold almost anything you can think of in the last year that was truly newer or new in feel, because they prefer familiarity. That's why Call of Duty sells year after year. That's why Madden sells year after year. Hell, as much as we might like the games, that's why WWE sells year after year. It's because it's familiar, we know what we're getting into, and it's something we want.
That's why a lot of developers are reluctant to do new IPs, because
So
they don't know
were
how
you
to,
just saying that
what
you were the
target
problem,
average.
Luke?
I'm going to...
You're like, it's the same every year, but I want it because I like it.
I'm going to admit that in some respects I am part of the problem, yes. I do try my hardest to experience things that's normally outside of the realm of stuff that I know I already enjoy. That's why I've gotten into indie titles more and more over the years, because there is stuff that's legitimately different a lot of the time there. Now, to be fair, there's a lot of stagnation in indie, too. After Isaac came out, how many fucking roguelikes came out that really did nothing different from Isaac? It's not just a AAA problem, but with indie titles with smaller budgets, you're more willing to take a risk because you're not putting as much money behind it and expecting as much return. And so you do tend to find more different experiences in that realm of gaming, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
So, Roger, after my long-winded spiel there about stagnation, what about
put
you?
me on the spot, bro.
Oh, well, I don't think stagnation is an issue. If it's only an issue, I think it's on console, because they have to spend so much money to do those. Like, on the PC side of things, like, I haven't played anything AAA in
I don't
over
even
a
think
year.
it's console. I think it's major release, because every console has their digital distribution thing, and a lot of indie titles and stuff that's exclusive to those only is making it there. It's just not stuff that's marketed. The Xbox Live Arcade, the PSN, and the eShop all have like like I was showing you earlier. Fucking Don't Starve is on Wii U now, and Rogue Legacy just hit the Xbox One not too long ago. I mean, we're getting on console big indie titles that are the ones that are doing stuff different. So, hell, Isaac is coming out on the rest of the console if it hasn't hit yet. So they're coming. It's still in the AAA.
Let him finish.
It's
let
still
him
in the
finish,
AAA.
I ain't even gotten to my real point. Luke's
My
just
bad.
like, I'm going to talk for 30 minutes.
Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I say, like, I see more on the PC side of things as opposed to y'all. And, like, the problem I have is that there's a weird thing where there's, like, almost no competition on this side of stuff as far as distributors go. Because you either get it on Steam, or if you get it from somewhere else, it's from that company, like Blizzard. And they have their own, like, have Battle.net. But if you're other than Steam, well, you can say there's GOG and there's other sites.
And Green Man.
And Green Man, they have nowhere near the sway as Steam does.
Yeah, it's pretty much it's if you don't get your game on Steam, you're not gonna make the PC.
And there's like there's no competition, so like you're kind of beholden to Steam. And while that has gotten a little bit easier as of the other day, which we're going to talk about later.
Oh yeah, we will be talking about that.
it's still not good knowing that I can only go here to get something, or I have to go to some shady like gray market site, you know,
or Origin
it.
and have my computer get infested with spider bots.
Yeah, it's no good. That's the problem I am having.
Almost a monopoly on digital distribution on PC. It's damn near a monopoly, basically. Yeah.
Shit, I remember when Steam was fucking garbage.
Oh,
but that's
that time's over now.
What?
That's another topic.
What?
No, I mean like you probably know, Roger.
It needs an overhaul.
Way back when it was like brand new, like Half-Life 2 new, like not what it is now. It was fucking terrible.
Yeah,
everybody hated it.
It's come leaps and bounds, but it's still in ways.
But anyway, I
leaps and
digress.
bounds behind. Yeah. I can see that though. Yeah, the on the PC side of things, it's almost a monopoly there, and you either get your game on Steam or you don't make the mass market appeal that your game could have.
And even then, like they have the other issue of just putting out garbage after garbage and not giving a shit at all. Like they don't curate
titles.
Like while GOG will go ahead and like curate their system a bit and say this is what's good. You know, we're willing to put this up. Steam don't give a fuck what's greenlit. If it's greenlit, fine, it's going up. I don't care if things are stolen from other games. If the game's broken, always broken. They just don't care.
Yeah.
That game's gonna stay there, unless you're like get some really big news like Hatred. They just don't give a fuck.
Dude, even case in point, Hatred is not a great game, but it's like the number one seller right now.
Because of controversy.
It's not a great game. Yeah, exactly. But anyway, again, I digress.
As Jeff said the other day, even bad exposure is exposure, and will get you places.
Yeah.
Any publicity is good publicity.
Exactly.
I tried telling that to a cop once. It didn't seem to work. Why?
That's ruining gaming too. No, but Sean, what are your thoughts on this?
Honestly, mine isn't as in depth as you guys. I don't know. As you all, I don't know. Because you guys know me. Other than Roger, I'm a pretty by the numbers gamer. I'm part of the problem. I just enjoy shit that's fun, no matter if it's.
Sean,
welcome to Gamers Anonymous.
Sean is the type of guy. If he sees a trailer, you sold him a copy of the game.
I enjoy things that are fun for the pure enjoy. No matter if it's a tried and true formula or if it's drivel, but mainly I get tired of QTEs. I get tired of fucking every game having their fucking quick time event.
Mash the button not to fucking die.
Mash X, I mean, the few games that got it right were probably, I'd say, the first God of War and Resident Evil 4.
And before that, Shenmue. Let's give credit where credit's due.
I didn't really play Shenmue, but I'll give you that.
But yeah, it's a crutch, and it's David Cage's only idea of interactivity. But
hey, don't get me started on Heavy Rain. I really enjoyed that, but that's a different.
Heavy Rain was a good
movie.
Day. Heavy Rain was a good movie. That's true.
Oh man.
I love the choose your own ending adventure to that movie, man. It was great. But that's a good point too, man. It's a crutch is what it really is now. It's not games like Shenmue and to an extent Resident Evil 4 and God of War built it with QTEs in mind as an extension of gameplay, not as a crutch to break things up. It was part of the idea from the beginning, and in a lot of ways they kept it consistent throughout, instead of just, oh hey, suddenly press X not to die.
It turned from, you know what'd be cool if I put this chainsaw through this dude's face, to like, hey, you know what? I don't really know what to do for this last scene to make it harder.
X to put the chainsaw through his face.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, Luke, you watched me play, and I watched you play Resident Evil 4. How many times have we each died during that Krauser knife fight?
Oh God.
Well, the first time I forgot it was a QTE, so I put the controller down.
Oh my God! I think we've all done that. We're like, oh, cool cutscene.
Yeah,
oh, fuck, I'm dead.
All right, Jeff. Who or what is ruining gaming for you besides the three of us?
Pre-orders.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a good one.
That's
That
a
is a
very
good
good
one.
one.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here for like the past 5 minutes, like, God damn it, nobody fucking say that. I got
like
nothing
steaming.
else.
No, but it's a very valid point. I can't really think of, barring maybe a couple of technology type things, where anybody, bets money that it's going to be a good product. They wait till the product comes out. And
Let Jeff explain it.
It's the thing that bothers me about it is, I mean, and I think South Park said it best. You're basically giving somebody money ahead of time to ensure that their game's not going to suck. It doesn't make sense. I want to fucking pay for a game that I know is going to be good. And in some cases, I'm kind of a part of that. I think I maybe reserve a maximum of 2 games a year, and that's maybe WWE.
And, yeah, I was gonna say half of those are WWE.
And in this case, as soon as I know when Yakuza 5's out, but that's because I know that I'm gonna love those games.
Yeah, it's very specific
good point.
titles that you choose, not just, oh hey, they announced another fucking Call of Duty. Let me pre-order that shit.
But it's like as soon as Fallout 4 hit today, it's like everyone's like, "Hey, let's go pre-order it." Why? How about
the game
you wait until
it doesn't even exist
know
yet.
the release date?
Oh, with Fallout 4, I am completely the fucking problem. I will. I'm not gonna lie.
It's
And
like,
pre-order bonuses too. But that's a whole nother
Jesus.
subject.
and
That's another story.
and it's on Steam too. That's another thing. Is like some of the top selling games are fucking games that aren't out for 6 fucking months. I think
Yeah.
one of the top selling games for the last 3 months on Steam has been Arkham Knight, and it's not out for another 3 weeks.
Steam's even worse to pre-order stuff from, because usually on consoles things will generally work somewhat. But you have a problem like with Mortal Kombat 10, where you pre-downloaded it, it's release date, cool, I can play it. Nope, you can't. Sorry, your files weren't downloaded. You're missing characters. Well, sucks to be you. Wait 2 more days. Aren't you glad you pre-ordered? Like, no,
No,
no, I'm not.
Yeah,
I think me and Jeff were talking about this way back. I think I brought it up. I was talking to you about Steam. I think it was on my computer. I was like, "Oh, hey, cool, Steam. Yeah, I would definitely like to pre-purchase The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt a year before it fucking comes out. Are you fucking high?
Yes,
It's not even halfway done.
Please install those core files to prep for it. And,
I mean, maybe the only good thing to come out of that pre-ordering from Steam is like, and maybe in this case, like for Grand Theft Auto 5, which was like apparently, I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, 600,000 terabytes.
That sounds a
but I
bit
mean,
low. It sounds
If
a bit
I'm
low.
not mistaken, if you buy the case, like the physical copy in store, they have to use a forklift and bring it out of the back to put it in your car. There's so many discs involved.
And it's made of
But
obsidian, just to be.
But I'm saying like the one good thing from that is at least have it pre-install on your computer so it's ready to go by the time
Was it that big?
drops.
Was it a big
It
fucking
was-
Oh,
file?
Fucking huge.
I want to say it was like
Wow.
at least 60 gigs.
It was more
Jesus.
than that. It was.
Was
Wow.
It's on in store on the physical copy. It's like 7 discs.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was 7 discs of physical.
Yeah. So it's a very large. I think it was closer to like 80 gigs, to be honest. It was like a minimum
think-
of 60, but I think it was closer to 80.
I think Jeff wins the fucking best point of the night, really.
I think we all really had strong points. I mean, yours was an in-game sort of thing. Jeff's. Is,
No, I won. I'm going home.
No,
I'm
no,
better.
it was definitely me. I was better. All right, so this is going to segue, since we've been talking about Steam a lot. We really do need to bring up a current event here. Steam has now brought out a new refund policy, and we'll hear everybody's thoughts on that. But first, the way it works is once you've bought a game, it has to be within 14 days of your purchase, and you can't have played it for more than 2 hours. Assuming those 2 conditions are met, you can refund the game. It's a streamlined policy, so it's not case by case. You don't have to go through all the litigation, basically, to return a game if there's problems. However, there's 2 sides to every argument, which is why we're here today discussing it. So the pros of this, definitely, from my perspective, is, as we mentioned a little bit ago, with broken games like Unity, not necessarily Master Chief since that was an exclusive, but shit like that where it doesn't load. Mortal Kombat 10, where that didn't load with the the pre-purchase, and you have to go through all this work. Now you can just be like, you know what, this shit's broken. I want my money back. I didn't get a working product. That's absolutely understandable. That's perfectly acceptable, and definitely you should be allowed to have that. And above and beyond that, there's
Well, no, fuck that. Well, I mean, I can see. No, I'm saying that there's a better way to remedy that. I can see, compatibility and everything. Put more demos.
yes.
Give me a chance to try out the game, see if my computer can even run it before I'm buying it.
It's not
Good point.
even it's not even
That's
just that.
that's Blockbuster. That's gone.
It's not even-
demos aren't even around anymore. You're like,
I didn't
you're
say
telling me you
rent
go
the
into
full
Hollywood
game.
Video.
It's not even just that. It's not even running new games. It's the fact that also there's a lot of old games that just aren't compatible. Valve doesn't pressure any compatibility work from a dev once they put an older game up on Steam. So you get shit that you have to run out of DOSBox, and even then it may not run. So absolutely, if you don't have
Totally premonition.
yeah, exactly. And that's even a more recent game. But yeah, just that side of things, definitely I understand. That's a very legitimate reason to have a streamlined refund process. If something doesn't work, I don't want to be able to have to. I don't want in real life walk into a store and be like, look, I bought this watch. It doesn't fucking keep time. Give me my money back. And they're like, well, hold on. We got to examine this case by case. No, they give me my fucking money back. So absolutely, I understand that. But working in retail also gives me the negative side of things because I see the refund process abused all the time, and I can think of a few ways Steam's new refund process can be abused. Now, I want to hear before I continue on the negative if anybody else has any other positives towards it, besides it just being kind of a necessity.
The positive of it, you know what it's like to try to return something before?
Yes.
Like, it was, you practically needed to like get Satan's blood and write a note to him yourself to like get something refunded to you.
And 6 months later, you get your first rejection notice.
And like, I mean, like, it's not gonna have this. I don't think it's gonna have the same syndrome as the GameStop problem, where people would play a game, beat it, and return it and get the money back and abuse it, because it's 2 hours. That's enough time for you to know if you're gonna kind of like it or not.
I want to add a footnote to that, though. I agree with you in a lot of respects, but there's a lot of stuff that's shorter than 2 hours. I beat Gone Home in under 2 hours. Would that kind of refund
Good.
process?
Make your game longer than 2 hours, because you know what? It doesn't matter how long your game is in a big box store. And GameStop, they'll take it no matter how long it was, as long as it's within 2 weeks.
Well, that's what I'm saying as a way of almost abusing the system if somebody's unscrupulous enough. Is those shorter games you can play to completion under that 2 hour time frame very easily within 14 days, and then you've gotten a free experience because you can just return the game.
Really? I think Steam got a lot of free money from broken games that,
I
we couldn't
absolutely
get the money
agree
back
with that
for.
too.
I hate to cut in here, but before I forget, I can tell you one big con of this that I don't know why I didn't think of this before. Is the fact that somebody could just go on, buy a shit ton of games,
The fucking trading cards?
No, I'm saying like make files of them for torrenting, refund it all back, and then go and just torrent their own files.
I was actually gonna bring that up regarding DRM free games in general, because that's even simpler without even bringing torrents into it. If it's DRM free, you could just technically copy it into another directory and then refund the game, and you got a free copy of the game.
Yeah.
Because they're only gonna take the one back from your Steam directory.
Yeah.
And above and beyond that, you can also have on probably a smaller side of things, but it's still a possibility. You'll get people who buy games simply to review bomb, because for Steam reviews, you only need to play 5 minutes to be able to put a review on it. So you play 5 minutes, leave your negative review that you wanted to because you hate the developer or whatever, and then refund the game, and you just bombed its rating while getting your money back. Shit like
Dude,
that.
don't give away my channel idea. Stop it.
And then, as Roger was bringing up, trading cards, how is that going to work? Are they going to put new restrictions on that you have to keep...
They already have fucking restrictions on those things.
No, I mean in regards to the return policy, though. Is it going to be like, do you get to keep any cards you earned playing the game, or are they...
They're not
what if
losing
you-
that much money from that, though. I mean,
What if you
What
sold
the
one?
fuck are Steam trading cards?
Steam trading cards they're basically that. They're trading cards. You can sell them between each other. There's rarities, that kind of stuff. And the big worry with that would be if you happen to get lucky enough to pull a rare one from something you did early in the game, you could not only refund the game and get your money back and not have that, but then you could turn around and sell the
Make a
fucking
profit.
card and make a profit on it. It's shit like that I think that's what I meant earlier, Roger, when we almost started talking about this and decided to wisely save it for this. it seems a little short-sighted in the way they set this up, especially in regards to smaller titles. There's just that 2-hour time limit is just. I can't imagine there wouldn't be a lot of people that, out of frustration that the game wasn't longer, if nothing else, would be like, I beat this in an hour and a half, give me my money back. You know, I didn't like my experience here. And then, you got people making smaller, maybe more narrative-driven titles that are good, like Gone Home, to an extent, but they're not going to make any money off it now that refunds are being offered because somebody's pissed it only lasted an hour.
Yeah, just because it doesn't last a long time doesn't mean it's not good. Just ask your mother.
Hey, let's not take those shots. I agree with your sentiment in general there, though, but you and I aren't necessarily the mass market here, and a lot of people judge a game, at least in a majority standpoint, on how much time they get out of it.
It's true.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's
Good segue. Good segue.
That's the Steam returns right there. So, actually, jumping from that, here's another good segue.
Oh my god.
Since we're talking about length of games possibly being a problem, what do we want to see more often in games? And Jeff's little footnote here said the hundreds of hours of Witcher 3 gameplay. What do we want to see more often in games coming out?
Are we going person by person, or what are we doing? We just jumping in?
On this. And Sean, you're going to start us off this time because you talked first.
Personally, and I was thinking about this like 3 topics before, and it's only been done in a couple of games. I know when I get into a first-person shooter game, and I start looking around, I can see my hands. I look down. Oh, I'm just a floating fucking torso. Okay. I want full body awareness in more first-person shooters.
Or the Doom gun where it's just in the middle of your fucking chest.
Yeah.
What was that one game? I think it was that Jurassic Park game or something like that where like you could look
Survivor?
down. Survivor. Was that the one where you could look down and look at your cleavage?
Look at your tits, yeah. Yeah. Because I'm a person. Like in the dark, in anything Starbreeze does, they give you full body awareness. Like in the darkness, when you ran into a wall, like your hands came up and you couldn't use your gun, your hands came up and touched the wall. And in Riddick, you could look down and see your legs and your arms. The first person fighting was one of the best parts of Butcher Bay.
Absolutely.
I think those are the only 2 games I can think of right now. I mean, you got your kill
They
zones.
did that in Mirror's Edge too.
Yeah, Mirror's Edge. You could see.
Yes, they did. That's a good point. You got your games like Killzone and Call of Duty, where when you get into some sort of where you press a button to open a door, like your arm comes out and you touch a button, or if you get like exploded during a fucking cutscene, you'll see your legs or your parts of your other parts of your body.
But they're always at like unnatural angles.
Yeah.
Like you kick someone from like 2 feet off the ground is where your leg appears.
You look like Peter whenever he falls over in Family Guy. Everything's at an odd angle.
That reminds me of Duke Nukem with the boot. I would always run around.
Oh, yeah.
I would run around and boot in the air and boot on the ground and boot underwater. I'd be like, how would this look in real life?
Jeff, you remember when we were fucking doing that? And I think it was the 360 Duke 3D, and we kept alternating legs, so it was almost like we were jumping off the ground and kicking with both legs.
But that's what I would like to see, is more full body awareness.
That's a good one. Full body awareness is good. Roger, what do you want to see more of in games?
You made me think about it, but I want to see another good first-person shooter. Like, that'd be amazing. Like, I haven't had one that made me really excited. What I really want to see is, like, a return to World War II, because I'm honestly tired of the desert, and I'm tired of the future.
You want to go back to World War II?
Yeah, because,
that's
like...
a can of worms, bro. I'm just letting you know.
That's a can of... Well, I mean, like, you ever playing, like, the original Call of Duties... and Medal of Honors, and there used to be this flood. Used to be this flood of World War II games. And
yeah,
then,
wasn't it No, not Battlefield. There was like 2 Shell Shock. Oh, that was Nom. Never mind, that was Nom.
Yeah, and then Call of Duty, Call of Duty 3 came out, and it was all
4.
desert now. Call of 4, sorry. Yeah, Call of Duty 4 came out,
Modern
and it's all
Warfare,
and it's all desert from here on. Then I think it's been like probably 10 years since a good World War II game came out. Like, I don't want to be Jack Johnson's Space Marine in the future. I want to be.
You made me think of the fucking singer Jack Johnson, the acoustic singer, and like fucking full on Warhammer gear.
Yeah. I want to be like Ted from Iowa, who's like used to be a cab driver, who's now like in the middle,
Wasn't that the whole plot
Italy.
of Homefront?
Yeah, Homefront was kind of one of those, but it wasn't. Yeah, but
You're like an average Joe, like, oh, we gotta face the Super Koreans. I don't know.
the
It's-
Super Koreans.
Homefront was Red Dawn taken to another level. Like
That's
it
Yeah.
was just
what it was.
completely
A
ridiculous.
shitty
over the
level.
top.
Yeah.
Jeff, what do you want to see more of in games?
I want to see more Wolverines in our Red Dawns. I want.
I'm a Wolverine.
I want to see more niche games.
More niche
Like?
games. Give me an example of that, Jeff.
I like more different common what's a good example of this?
How about a dating sim where you talk to pugs?
Two combinations of games where you normally wouldn't see them together.
Jeff,
Well,
that
yeah, just
reminds
give me an
Like
Jeff,
Give me an
that-
example.
What about a rhythm-based dungeon crawler? like
Crypt of the
Cursed-
Nectar Dancer.
yeah. Isn't that crazy?
I don't know. I already had an example. Next question.
So you
Come at me,
basically
bro.
said nothing.
No, he's got a good point. He's talking about mixing up genres is basically, I think, what he's getting up there, and not just like JRPG, Western RPG.
Well, no.
FPS.
Like what? Has there been a game that's done that? I was just curious.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is a good example. It's a dungeon crawler, kind of like a top-down roguelike, in the vein of like maybe a top-down Diablo would be a good way to phrase it to you to an extent. But it's rhythm-based. You have to do it to the rhythm of the music.
I want developers to, take some chances again, which is hard. I
Yeah.
know it's asking for a lot, but
Oh, Hyrule Warriors wasn't enough of a chance for you? Taking Zelda from an action RPG to an action game wasn't enough?
that was already a game. I'm talking
fucking
something
with
like
you, dude.
Catherine would have been a good example. That was a fucking risk
A puzzle dating sim?
with the other thing.
It was. I'll give you the risk in Catherine was in taking it very, very seriously and very close to what an actual relationship when you're doubting it is like. Yes. That really hasn't been done in very many other games. I agree with that.
I want to see that from big developers.
From Big Red Button, the guys who did Sonic Boom?
No, but I mean like I like the idea of like a big developer like EA, Ubisoft taking a big chance. Like, I mean, me and you, Luke, could probably name like 1,000 games that are like different
Absolutely.
in some weird way, but they're all
Well,
indie
I think-
titles or small titles that like two guys made, and not like a big developer house.
A good example of that is, well, maybe not for anybody else in this party, because I don't think I've gotten really any positive feedback on it other than myself, but Square Enix made that Life is Strange, which I've thoroughly enjoyed.
It's not a bad game. Not at all.
I've never played it. I
That's
don't
the
know.
only
Okay, we
endorsement
are
you'll get
we
from
are
me, Jeff.
without a leader, so let's keep talking.
Did
We
Luke
have to
have a
fill
stroke?
time.
Luke have a stroke or what? He's like fall out.
He's stroking out in the bathroom.
I think a good example, Jeff, that you're that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like Puzzle Quest or Puzzle Fighter, maybe.
Well, I don't know about Puzzle Fighter. Puzzle Quest was fun.
Well, it's the same thing. It's you got two characters fighting, and you're basically you don't give a shit about them fighting. You're just trying to match 3 or match 4.
I mean, yeah, but that was like a marriage of a puzzle and RPG. I mean, I get what you're saying. That's
What about like a first-person shooter and grammar lessons, like spelling, like?
no, they
They
already
did
did
that.
that. That was called
Tapping of the Dead.
that was,
Yeah, that was called
oh,
Awesome.
okay, I was
enjoyed
gonna go stupid with it, but yeah, you got a point.
Some of those words get fucking difficult.
They get crazy.
Did you
man.
ever? Did
Bring
you
in
ever?
Mississippi.
Did you ever get the they had like a free DLC for it or whatever? They had like the bad words or something like that.
No.
No, I did not get any DLC for
So
it.
they had like fart face and like anal bleeding rectal exams. I don't know.
Sounds disgusting. So life is strange. Anyway, so we're gonna go ahead and cut off the what we want to see and what will make gaming better. And we're gonna take it back in time a little bit here.
Oh God.
Back in the day when I was young. I'm not a kid anymore. No, but we're gonna do what we like to call, well, what Game Informer like to call the sacred cow roast, and what we like to call here's why it sucks. In this case, what this is basically we're gonna take a game that's considered a classic, that's considered one of the greats, or even a more modern example of a classic in some cases, and explain the things that are wrong with the game.
Would you say acclaimed?
Acclaimed would be. Are we making an acclaimed joke there? Because they're dead. You don't speak
No.
of the dead. Bro. Yes, acclaimed would be a good one, but in essence, what we're going to be doing is taking it, and instead of talking about why it's good, which everybody does, we're going to explain the things that are legitimately wrong with the game. Without a nostalgia filter, just the things that could have been done better, or nowadays could be done better in some sort of reboot, remake, that kind of thing. Basically, we're going to take the good chicken and we're going to put it on the roast and have us a feast here. That being said, today's topic is going to be Goldeneye 64. Considered a huge classic, basically the thing that brought first-person shooter games to the home console in a way that worked and was accessible and made other developers realize it could be done at home. And that's all I'm going to say on the good side of things, but we're going to lead off on this one with Roger. What do you think's wrong with GoldenEye 64?
Those sexy polygons, man. Ooh, like, it looks so good. I remember as a kid, like we were like the AK. We didn't know what that gun that was. We just know it looks like a Duracell battery, so we call it the battery gun. You couldn't tell what the fuck it was.
Which one? The RCP-90?
It's a product of the time too. So I mean, you can't knock it on visuals.
Well, yeah, but obviously we've got to take product of the time out of it for this kind of thing. It's just those graphics. The reason I gotta say you gotta take the product of the time out of it is you can't make that same argument for a lot of Super Nintendo games. Granted, it's a bit of a different feel, but they look great because the art was designed around it.
It's almost as if they went on a computer and I'm talking like the characters of the game, just like went on the computer and printed out somebody's face and then just like glued it to their face. Like they're a spy from TF2 or something.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But anyway, continue,
Roger.
Roger.
It's the first trembling forays into 3D, and I can understand why at that point it was like, okay, this is really cool. But even looking back, even then, I playing it back then, I knew the face looked fucking stupid at the very least. I might have been wowed by the rest of it, but the faces were fucking awful even then. So definitely graphically, and this is going to be true of a lot of 64 and PS1 games in general, it looks like shit. It's aged terribly.
Yes, I agree.
It's no anything else. It hasn't aged well at all.
All right, before Roger takes everything, let's go around the table until we're done here. Sean, what's one thing you think is wrong with GoldenEye?
I have to say it is, if the same game, like nothing was changed other than it was a huge graphical update and they re-released it, it would be a terrible game. Because you'd be able to finish it in like an hour and a half. It's incredibly linear, and there's also no voice acting whatsoever. You just go from level to level, and they're really not connected. You kind of have to know the subject matter beforehand, because it's just you go from dam, then you go to the next level, then you go to the next level.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's very straightforward, very very linear, like the textbook definition of the word.
Textbook definition. I agree with that. It's this is A to B to C to D to E until you're done. Very much so. Jeff!
Yeah.
You get the next one.
The main problem I have with GoldenEye, even to this date, is the fact that they kind of just... I mean, they tried to follow the movie as best as they could, and, the movie, come on, it wasn't the greatest, but
hey, come on! GoldenEye was the greatest Pierce Brosnan Bond movie of his career. But anyway,
says something about Pierce Brosnan.
Sean,
I'm very in love with the GoldenEye. But
I like how you narrowed that down more and more as that sentence went on. That was the greatest Pierce Brosnan, James Bond, that era 90s movie ever.
Sorry, Jeff. I didn't mean to interrupt
Go ahead,
Jeff. It's like in the I feel like they were just trying to do as much with every level as they possibly could. Like, I don't want to keep bringing up the movie because that hasn't really nothing to do with it. Like, Bond was on the dam for what, 20 seconds?
Yeah, I
And
remember.
then
I remember going back and watching that scene in the movie, and it was literally like 5 minutes.
If you blink, you miss it.
Yeah,
I think he was in the facility for a couple minutes too. So it's
an
like
additional
they
5
really
minutes,
had
yeah.
to take creative liberties.
Yeah,
And I understand
good
that.
point.
Fine, build objectives around these pretty much imaginary levels. But if you're gonna make a game based on a movie, at least try to expand the world. You said it was linear. It was linear. It was unless you were playing on like fucking Double O Agent or something, that you could just
Oh my
shit right.
god.
And then for no other reason, they put fucking levels in from like Moonraker and what was the Egyptian one from the Man with the Golden Gun or something like
Yeah.
that?
Sure.
Not to mention
Which
they
I didn't
confused
watch- I didn't watch
Oddjob
all the
with
movies.
what's his name? Fuck, I can't remember now.
Jaws? Like, which
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
Well, that was the that was the Moonraker level.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just continue.
Yeah, it was. But so that little appendage didn't make sense. Really, after all these years, the only thing really that can be said positive still is the multiplayer. But they tried it again with Perfect Dark, which wasn't as good, and they even kind of incorporate that kind of 4-player fiasco shit today. I've heard a lot of people say that Goldeneye was, I wouldn't say the father of competitive multiplayer, but it was very archaic at the time. Like the best way to fucking win was know where the armor was and know where all the well, no, not necessarily camp it, but
one? You
know
get
your
the golden gun
shortcuts.
and you win.
There was like 5 fucking levels for multiplayer.
All right, Jeff. Let me. As much as I agree with you, let me cut you off there before you take all of
Well, I
my
was pretty much
arguments.
done.
Yeah, let me take all of the. Let me take a couple swings at it here, at the pinata, so to speak. I'm
Well,
gonna
we're
call
not
it.
dragging out a fucking printer in the field like an Office Space.
Yeah, I'm gonna call out the big one that you guys might even disagree with me on. I'm gonna call out the gameplay. The gameplay
Okay.
for its time wasn't awful, but it definitely wasn't up to the standard of the genre. Granted, they were making it work for a console, yes, but even going back now and playing it again and holding that controller the way you hold it to play that game, it feels retarded. No offense to any of
Yeah.
our mentally handicapped people. It feels dumb. The setup is dumb. It makes you feel dumb playing it.
I wouldn't blame the game for that.
I
Like,
would blame the
I wouldn't
hardware
blame it for the-
limitations,
Yeah.
absolutely, but there are other games on the 64 that might have a shooter vibe to them, Jeff Force Gemini, that don't make you feel dumb playing them. So I think it's absolutely something that developers could have refined a little bit more. I know they were working within a limitation, but it still makes you feel dumb playing. And I think that that it could have used a little bit more work, but I understand the limitations of working within a movie title, a licensed movie title. That, and I also think that, again, this might be executive meddling, but the amount of shit that got cut out would have alleviated some of the problems we've already mentioned. I don't know if you guys, how much you guys know about what was cut out, but 3 or 4 levels, at least, from the story alone were cut out.
Do you feel like the multiplayer or the single player was made first? Like, do you feel like it was originally a multiplayer game that a single player was evolved around, or they added the multiplayer at the last minute?
Do I feel like it, or do I know the answer to that? Because
You
I
know
know
the answer.
I know the answer to that. It was a single
by all
player.
means.
It was a single player game first. There was no multiplayer component originally. That it got added later in development. In fact, it got added pretty close to the last cycle of development. So the
I remember reading about that. That's right. Yeah.
The devs themselves called the multiplayer very unfinished. As good as the multiplayer was, it was added late in development.
Do you think it'd be as revered if it didn't have the multiplayer aspect to it?
I think it'd be
No.
a terrible game.
No, it
I
wouldn't
think
at
it
all.
would be a very average game at best. At least
Because
from a
obviously you
remember
don't see
standpoint.
like fucking GoldenEye competitions anymore like you do, Counter-Strike or whatnot. But
Yeah, we're comparing
You
apples.
say, "Oh, I played that game. That was a game." That's right. It's not a game that it
I
would
want to
never
say,
be.
I want to say the other thing they could have worked on a little more was that box art, because that's still confusing people to this day whether or not.
Oh, the cheek.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan has an extended cheek, or if it's actually his hand. But I absolutely think that the big one here, if you take off the nostalgia glasses, the gameplay feels very dumb, especially compared to some other games on the system that we may cover eventually.
Well, yeah,
that did things
that was
better.
before like AI really got smart. So like you're protecting Natalia when she's doing that thing in the command center. You're just like, well, I hope she doesn't die, cause there's nothing I can do.
I'm gonna shoot her myself if she dies. Yeah, there was definitely limitations of the time, and even allowing for that, there are definitely ways it could have been better. I think from an actual flow, Turok was probably a little cleaner, the first one.
Yeah.
And that's in the exact same genre, just without a movie license. So I definitely think, even at the time,
Thank Christ for that.
it could have been better. And I think it definitely suffered from some gameplay flaws, even as revered as it is. I think the multiplayer, if you go back and play that shit now, is absolutely impossible, and I don't know how we did it if you're playing split screen, because fuck, those screens are tiny, bro!
Dude, why the fuck is he a dinosaur hunter? You didn't. I think you shot like 3 dinosaurs in that whole
this
game.
is not a Turok segment, alright? This is a Goldeneye segment. We'll fucking roast
Anyway.
that later.
We're
That
talking about
system-
Pierce Brosnan there.
That system is the only system that to this day, I've ever played a first-person shooter with my left hand.
Yeah,
Like I've shot with my left hand.
absolutely. With the Z button, bro.
Yeah.
But, also on the multiplayer, it's one of the easiest to glitch out that I've ever encountered, even with other ones that might be more widespread now. I mean, it was as simple. Getting mines to float in multiplayer was as simple as going into the bunker and sticking them on the TV and blowing them up, and then everything floated after that. That's a
Yeah.
huge programming oversight, no matter what area you're in. That's extremely easy to do and should have been fixed in testing for sure.
Don't even fucking get me started on the box glitch.
Yeah, that too.
What fucking throwing mines on the box and picking up the box and then the mines are invisible?
Well, no, shooting certain ammo, just shooting them would duplicate them.
They would duplicate
Oh.
them, or if you shot them in the right way and popped them up in the air or blew them up in the air and caught them, they would respawn in the air. That was the new spawn point. The spawn point moved with the item. So you could just have, if you worked hard enough at it and had some good friends that like to fuck shit up, you could have every piece of ammo or weapon or armor or ammo box up in the air for spawn by the end of the game.
Honestly, I have one more complaint about it. Well, I said it previously that there's like 5 fucking multiplayer levels. I think you could use some Game Shark codes to actually start playing in some of the single player levels, or open up more areas.
There was
in
at
the multiplayer.
least a code for the...
I know in the archives you could open it up a little bit so you could play all the way through, but
and there was also at least a code to access the, what is it, the Citadel? The big...
oh yeah, the cradle.
Cradle, thank you, that's the one. Cradle. There's also definitely a
I
code.
remember
It's
about
not
that.
it's not finished, but they were programming the Cradle into it as well.
The only Game Shark code I remember using was to unlock like the 48 extra multiplayer characters,
Oh yeah.
like helicopter pilot.
That
Helicopter
wasn't even
pilot
like a
without his
Game Shark
helmet.
code. You could just do that with button commands on
Yeah,
the.
you could do
on
that
the
with
menu.
button
I-
commands.
I wasn't too. I wasn't.
We could play as, like, the
hacksaw-
developers
too
and
hacksaws
shit.
back in the day.
He wasn't too smart at the time.
I wasn't hacker man.
And how about them? How about the design decision to start programming other Bond's faces in there before they even got the license to use them?
That's
Wait,
wishful
what?
thinking.
You didn't know about that?
No, say it again. I might have misheard you.
All of the other Bond's faces are programmed into the game, even though they didn't have the license to use them at the time, because they were going to be skins
Oh, I
for
think
multiplayer.
I think I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but they never got the license to use them, so they had to just block them and not.
Didn't they do that again for like I think like Nightfall or something? Or
I-
not
you
Nightfall.
know,
What the fuck was that?
This is the only Goldeneye or the only Bond game that really matters. Let's be honest.
I'm just saying they did that
Everything or
same
Nothing
thing for
wasn't
later
bad.
Bonds.
I'm gonna go
I-
with nothing, Sean.
No, I did like the single player in that.
Yeah,
But
there's
that's
been
another
some that have
discussion.
had their moments, but to be fair, the only one that really matters is considered a classic is Goldeneye. And
I agree.
to an extent, at its time, it's very easy to see why. Looking at it without putting it in that context, and even against other games of its day, it was behind in a lot of ways. And they definitely made some design choices that probably could have been ironed out even in that day without even taking in today's environment and all that into it. So, I'm going to end this segment with a little surprise from you guys. For you guys.
No.
Does it hold up? Roger.
Does it hold up? No. No, it doesn't.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a unanimous no from everybody.
Yeah.
Sean?
Well,
Does it hold
Go
up,
ahead,
Sean?
Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go
Why
ahead,
don't
Jeff.
you fucking go? Jeff, go ahead.
That's a no from Sean? Okay. I would say under certain circumstances, because I've gone back and played, the first Mario Party, which still is fun to play. If you find the right group of people that are maybe as nostalgic as you, get some booze in the matter, yeah, it might still be fun. Would I go back and just be like all nostalgic about single player? Like, fuck yeah, this is fucking great? No, probably not.
You actually
I think
you took the words right
only
out
thing
of my
that
mouth.
holds up for me is the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's good.
Oh yeah, I
don't
get that
really
shit
have a
stuck in my head all the
complaint
time.
about the soundtrack. Jeff took the words right out of my mouth. I think with the right group of people, most likely people as nostalgic about it as you are, there's still fun to be had there, and it still serves as a lesson on how consoles started to get the FPS right. But on the whole, it definitely does not hold up. It's beyond age and all that. It's easy to look at it now and see the flaws that we might have looked past ourselves back in the day to where it was. And I think, contrary to Jeff's statement about Perfect Dark not being as good, I think Perfect Dark fixed some of the problems with that.
Yeah.
But that's a discussion for another day, because I would like to cover that another
I think
day.
the multiplayer was more fun, but I absolutely hated the single player.
Yeah, well,
That game did not need a single player. Perfect Dark should have been a multiplayer only.
hey, save it. So while we're being nostalgic, go ahead and jump into the final planned topic here for you, but we do have a bit more time than I expected left. We'd like to share with you, one by one, some of our earlier gaming memories, or what really got us into games. Possibly some of the early stuff with each other that we shared through gaming, and possibly just in general, some of the things we remember from way back when, as we're all fairly long-time gamers here. So I'm going to switch it up again, and Jeff, you're going to start this one.
Great. I have no idea how to start this.
All right,
That's
all
tough
right,
to
all
say.
right.
I mean-
I'll start it. Let me give you a little time since you're not ready. We can keep going around the circle on this as well, of course. It's not exactly a really early memory, but I do remember the day I got Pokemon Red, the original Red, back on the big old Fat Boy Game Boy. We bought it at the GameStop at the mall over here, and my mom and my grandma were with me, and they bought me the game. And at the time, I barely had any idea what Pokemon was. I wasn't even really familiar with the show, but I ended up spending the entire rest of the mall trip just nose deep in that fucking thing that you couldn't even see on. Just experiencing one of the few RPGs back in that day that really grabbed me by the nuts. And I remember they were looking at clothes, and I don't even remember what stores we went into, because I was dead set on getting my fucking Charmander leveled up. What about you, Roger?
So my best memories in games have to be like sitting down on the computer with my buddy and playing Heroes in Might and Magic.
Oh shit, dude! Holy
Yeah, or Masters of Orion. Like,
oh my god.
I love turn-based
great
games
games.
now
Yeah.
because of those games. Because of XCOM, Might and Magic, Masters of Orion. Sitting down, drinking a soda, and spending 12 hours straight only to lose. Just put this roguelike thing in me now that I love so much.
Absolutely.
So that definitely was amazing.
What about you,
I
Sean?
think
Oh, Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff,
Go ahead, Jeff.
Jeff, you got one. Go for it.
I think it's stupid, but I think some of my fondest memories as a kid was, and this might not even, some people listening might be like, what the fuck is he talking about? Remember, you guys remember when you could actually rent systems from Blockbuster?
Fuck yeah!
Oh man, you're kicking it back to like 95, 96, dude.
Some of my greatest memories was renting the PS1 and the 64 when it first came out, and
Shit.
waking up on Saturday morning and playing Super Mario 64 and just thinking like, you know, I may not go to school on Monday.
But it doesn't get much better than this. Sean, what
Like
about you?
even up,
Good stuff.
they even had it up until GameCube. And I
Yeah, they
remember
did.
getting Sunshine and not being able to save it because they didn't bundle it in with a memory card. That
Oh man, that
What about
was
you,
terrible.
Sean?
Yeah.
What's an early one for you, man?
I remember going over one of my. This is when I lived way back in like Arizona, like
I didn't even
mid
know you lived in
90s.
Arizona.
Yeah, man. My dad was in the military, so he moved around a lot.
I remember DC, but I didn't remember Arizona.
I remember going over to my buddy's house, and we would just stay up all night because I didn't have a Genesis, and we'd play as Genesis. We'd play winning
Oh, shit,
games
I got another one. Sorry.
like Arrow the Acrobat or fucking.
Oh, Arrow's so good.
Oh yeah.
What was that Spider-Man game? Spider-Man and
Was
the
it Maximum
X-Men.
was that? No.
It was Spider-Man and the X-Men, where we had
Was
to
it
rescue all the X-Men.
Arcade's Revenge.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
They were
think it's
terrible
Arcade's-
games in and of themselves, but it just the moments, the time is really what I remember. It was
Shit.
man.
No,
Good
Arrow was gold.
Shit, Sean, that reminds me of not as far back in the past, but going over after you got Resident Evil 4 and after you'd already beaten the game before I even got the chance to come over the first time and watching you play with the fucking Chicago typewriter and the scarf that whipped up in the air every time you moved. It's a good shit, bro.
I remember getting a Sega Genesis for Christmas.
Somebody
How
hated
Oh,
excited
I do
that
too.
was. Yeah,
Oh, those are
it
the
came
best.
bundled
Getting
with Sonic,
systems for Christmas, yeah.
and it had the best James Bond game on it, which was the Sega Genesis James Bond. It was so good.
I
What
don't
was that? A
remember
side
game.
scroller?
Yeah,
well,
I
I
think
Yeah,
guess
it was
most games are
side-scroller.
side-scrollers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I remember what caused me to get a 64. Because my friend Camilo, actually, he had one. And I played a lot of shit at his house originally, like Super Mario 64, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which he beat the tits off me, Killer Instinct Gold, which he beat the tits off me, Mario Kart 64, which he beat the tits off me.
I'm sensing a theme here.
There's the thing here, yes. There's a lot of the good stuff. Ocarina of Time we played through, but I didn't actually get my 64 until Smash Bros. Came out. Because at the time I had a PS1, and like Camilo was the guy with the 64, I was the one with the PS1, and we'd go over when
Right.
something new came out. And then Smash Bros. Came out, and I was like, that was one of the first times that I was like, I have to have a system because of a game. The original Smash Bros. At the time was just that mind-blowing that I was like, I need to play this. Like, I need to play this more. I need to have this at home so I can play this more.
Yeah, they had never done anything like that before. Yeah.
And it fucking obviously launched one of the biggest series of all time. But like even back then, you could see like the spark of how awesome that fucking was. And my Link's gonna beat your Pikachu. No, Pikachu's too fucking cheap in this game. Yeah, well Ness, who the fuck's Ness?
That's what I said. Those are word for. You took it out of my. I was like, who the fuck is Ness?
What's a Captain Falcon? I don't know, but he's got a fire punch and it turns into a bird. Fuck yeah!
Jeff, I think you had one.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
This is a little more recent than that, but I remember staying over at my nephew's house as a kid, and that was the first time I had played PS1.
Wait, you had
And,
a nephew as a kid?
Yes, I
Don't worry about it.
long story.
All right, go
Anyway,
ahead.
I have nieces that are older than me, but
Very well.
I just call them my cousins. It's easier.
No, I understand.
But I
have
stayed
those
over
too.
there, and that was the first time I played PS1. I remember playing Silent Hill for the first time late at night, not being able to get any sleep. And there's a game I keep fucking forgetting. It was
Pandemonium.
it was a 3D beat 'em up, and
Fighting Force.
Fighting Force. Thank you. I remember.
I gotta
Good
stop
guess.
doing that, Jeff. I really gotta
Good
stop
guess.
doing that.
I loved Fighting Force as a kid. That was
Fighting
my
Force
jam.
was,
But
yeah, Fighting Force was badass. I'll agree with that. That Fighting Force, the love I have for that game is probably what translated into me loving God Hand and Beatdown as much as I do.
Mm.
I don't know
I
if
could
any
see
of you
that.
guys even played Beatdown. That game is a fucking terrible beat 'em up.
yeah,
But
I remember
I can
Beatdown.
change my clothes. Do you know how awesome that is?
Wow.
I get a hairstyle that increases my punch by 2, bro.
Oh man.
I am a proud owner of Beatdown, and I am not ashamed to admit that for any of the 5,000 people we might have listening to this one day. Fuck all y'all. That game's fun.
And you guys remember Dead or Alive Beach Volleyball, right? The first one for original Xbox.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Before it was too
Yeah.
extreme.
Yeah, my buddy brought his Xbox over to my house because I didn't have an Xbox, and I remember we stayed up all night eating pizza and trying to unlock that Venus swimsuit.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god, the one that was
We
basically
stayed up
pasties.
all night. Yeah, all night to do that
Dude,
shit, man. Like
I
1,
got
2
you
o'clock
beat
in the
on
morning.
that one. I got you beat on that one. I never thought I would ever play that at a certain event. I played that at a group with my church youth group.
I like
We
it.
rented it from the store, and I remember my youth pastor just being like, "Yeah, this is great." And I'm like, "Is this what Jesus would do?" Jesus would be like, "Damn, those are some bomb ass titties."
Jesus would have a slice in his mouth, a Mountain Dew in his hand, and telling you to unlock that shit, bro.
The game was not as fun, but that was.
I'm about to butcher the title of this game, but there's a Game Boy game that I've never met another person outside of like the internet and people I don't actually know who's played it. There's a Game Boy game, and I'm gonna butcher this title, but I believe it's called Hyankyo Alien. Have any of you ever played that?
Never heard of it.
No.
Okay,
No.
the premise of the game is it's an alien invasion, and you beat the aliens by digging holes, and then they walk into them and they get stuck, and then you bury them. It's kind of like a whack-a-mole in reverse, almost. And it's surprisingly addictive, and it wasn't a bad game, but it's so fucking obscure that I've only seen it mentioned like a couple of times, even online. But I can clearly remember, like, to the fucking pixel, the Game Boy graphics on this game. I played it so fucking much, and
I just
was
googled it.
awful at it. I was
Wow, that looks like a fucking game and a half, bro.
Dude.
Does it look terrible?
Oh,
It absolutely looks terrible.
It's fucking
I'll send you it
garbage.
later.
It's garbage. But I played the shit out of it because it had it had that whack-a-mole thing to it where you're like, this is stupid as fuck, but I can't stop.
Sean, think of Pallet Town from like Red and Blue, and then just put like random holes and like for no other reason, just holes everywhere.
Actually, here's a good description of the graphics for that game. Think of Pallet Town from the original Pokemon Red and Blue, and then drop the resolution.
Yikes.
That sounds amazing.
What about you, Roger? What's another good one for you? I know you're primarily a PC brother.
We'll go a little console. I remember playing Resident Evil with my buddy and seeing that zombie turn his head
Now
in that
that's
little
Oh,
cutscene,
yeah.
and it making me like a little nervous when that happened. And then going back and replaying the game as an adult and being like, this thing looks so plastic and bad, and like there's like 6 polygons in its face, and this thing like scared me as a child. And then I go back and play as an adult, and I'm like, I was so stupid.
Yeah. Garbage.
Keeping that horror theme, Jeff. You talking about Silent Hill reminded me when I went over my other buddy's house way back, who was named Sean as well. We were playing Silent Hill 2, and we were playing like late into the night, and I was playing. I had the control of James at the time, and I'm walking, and there's fog, and then one of those little those, I don't know what they're called, but the little chicken arm things, but they're like look like they're covered in tar. I don't know what they're called, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Jeff's girlfriend.
One of them shoots out from under a van, and the
Oh,
it's late,
yeah.
and the
Yeah.
lights are off, and I'm like, dude, I can't play anymore. You got to play. And
Well,
I
I
gave him
wouldn't
the
say those
controller.
are
I
chicken
didn't pay
things. They're in
again.
like straight jackets, but yeah, I know what you.
Yeah,
I know.
the
Yeah,
straight
I
jackets.
couldn't think of a good way to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the Resident Evil remake for the first time I did it for GameCube, that shit had me on edge the whole game, man.
I like the horror games that aren't like boo scary, but the unnerving scary.
Did you
Yeah.
play a Fatal Frame?
yeah, absolutely. I own every
Oh
Fatal
yeah,
Frame.
2 was great, man. 2
Oh,
was
yeah.
so fucking good.
Dude, I
I'm-
remember having that discussion with you, Jeff, on Fatal Frame 2 when I said the part
yeah.
that got me the most on Fatal Frame 2, like when I first started playing, is when like they're just getting into the town and she puts her hand on her sister's shoulder and like the sister's like, "Oh, that's comforting," and then she walks past her, and like, "All right, whose fucking hand is that?"
Dude, as far as like a good memory goes, we went ahead and there's like this little shack in the back of my buddy's house. There's windows are broken. There's a bunch of random like
Oh, I
shit
remember
in
this
there.
fucking story.
And we went ahead and put a TV in there. We waited till it was like pitch black dark at night. Had
Oh,
all the
fuck
lights
that.
off in there, and we're both sitting there like on this like crate playing Fatal Frame, completely dark, in this little shed that looks like it's straight from some B horror movie. It was fantastic.
I would shit my pants clean off, dude. I'm not even gonna lie.
Hey,
Hey,
Goldeneye 007 HD joined our chat.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Hey Jeff,
How
when does
topical.
when does is there any more news on the Fatal Frame, the new Fatal Frame?
The one for Wii U?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't heard
I
anything.
haven't heard anything yet other than they are making one.
All right.
But,
But that's Nintendo for you.
hey, actually,
Yeah.
a little bit more recent on the memories thing, Sean. Do you remember when I took Indigo Prophecy up to the college when we were still going up there?
Yeah.
And I did
Yeah.
that fucking Dragon Ball Z battle for everybody, and everybody's like, "What's this
Yeah.
fucking game even about, dude?"
Dude, that was at the time for me. That was a game and a half, man. I played it and I'm like,
That-
this shit is blowing my mind
and
right
now
now.
you play it now, and you're like, "This game is shit."
Sorry, I left. What I miss?
You missed Indigo Prophecy.
Oh
Like
yeah.
back when I first played it on PlayStation 2, I was when I was playing it and all that crazy shit was happening. I was like, this game is fucking blowing my mind right now.
That was one of those games that I absolutely loved until the end.
Yeah, when that shit became DBZ, and then like, I hate that game so much now, and I own a copy,
Mm.
and I hate it so
Well,
much.
I mean, I have to say the only part I truly hated was the fucking sneaking missions in the Area 51. But
Oh, when you're a
I
kid?
also hate the fight on the rooftop. With the,
Oh, that one's a bitch, dude. If
Yeah.
you're playing it on a higher difficulty, that one is a bitch.
no, fuck you and your opinions.
Yeah.
The fucking thing in the church when you're fighting the angels and you're just like
Oh, when you
hammering the
have to
trigger.
hammer
You're
the
like
fucking triggers,
I'm so tired.
and then your fingers fall off, and you have to hand it to somebody else to finish.
And your wrists are about to go into overdrive because you now have carpal tunnel in both hands.
What disappointments do y'all remember, like from gaming?
From
Like-
back then?
Yeah, from back then, like that you had. Do you have any that you can think of, like in your mind, that you got something and you're real excited for, and either the ending wasn't good or wasn't what you expected?
I was
Oh,
much
dude.
more impressionable back in the day. They're more retrospective. They're bad. At the
And
time,
I'm
I probably
talking like
enjoyed
10, 15 years ago.
them. Yeah, I probably
We're
enjoyed
all old
them
enough
at the
for
time,
that.
but yeah, it's then I probably enjoyed them because I was still new to the whole thing. And very impressionable. But give me a minute. Somebody else, if you have one, go ahead.
I'm
So wait,
gonna
the
say
question
right
was
now-
something that you got and you thought it
We're
was going to be good
disappointed-
and then it wasn't?
Yeah, you're disappointed. Like
I'm gonna say
disappointed
Hydro
you had-
Thunder for N64.
How about Hydro Thunder for any console?
Dude, I got that game. Literally, I put the cartridge into my fucking 64, turned it on, played the first race, and I was like, why did I buy this? And immediately turned it off.
Oh man, there's a couple that I can think of, but it's.
See,
I
when
think I
played,
felt that way about the original Resident Evil when I was a kid. I was not, but that was also when I first started playing Silent Hill, and I liked it a lot more, and so I thought that Resident Evil was shite.
in
But
comparison, yeah. John, on your Hydro Thunder comment, when I played Hydro Thunder, I put it into my 64, and my 64 shot it back out at me, and then flipped me off. That game was
God damn, that was a
fucking
terrible
You remember the Pity Arcade comic on that? With the guy, the guy from Games Radar or whatever who reviewed it, and he was like, I was blown away, and then they have him in the Penny Arcade comic. He's like, you're running water? I'm blown away. I pissed myself. You think that's amazing? Look at these paper towels. Oh man.
I was disappointed with Sonic and Knuckles.
With Sonic and Knuckles, really?
Really?
I'm
Wow.
actually surprised by that.
I was a big Sega fan then. I love the Sonic games. My favorite foods are chili dogs now because of Sonic. For some reason, that stayed with me. But
Why am I eating this? It's delicious.
I don't know if it was just like, for some reason, I just disliked Knuckles or something. But I just felt like he was a wasted character.
Oh,
Like,
but
I don't know.
But he had that sweet rap behind his stages in Sonic Adventure.
Question from the chat: have any of you guys played Goldeneye Source?
Yes.
I haven't. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yes.
No, they did that a few years ago. That was a half-handed attempt to try to bring back the. I don't want to get back into the discussion, but the prestige of GoldenEye multiplayer, and I remember it just being like chaos is probably the best word for it.
It's no use. Yeah,
It was a nice attempt, but it didn't work out in
It
theory.
looked good.
Oh yeah, I mean, a fucking graphical update to GoldenEye that wasn't that really shitty Wii U remake.
And it wasn't the fucking paper masks, as you said earlier.
The what?
The paper masks, as you said earlier.
Oh god.
Actual good textures and everything else.
Yeah, it looked really good. I dabbled in it, and I wasn't too
I never
impressed.
played it.
I wasn't too impressed with it, but it was a nice idea. But I think it also served to highlight, in retrospect, how minimal
It just really
GoldeNeye's
felt like
gameplay was.
reskinned Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, man.
Which isn't a bad thing, but it's you're taking a series like GoldenEye and trying to incorporate it with Counter-Strike-esque settings and everything. It's not
but
going to work.
GoldenEye has so much more potential to be interesting than Counter Strike, at least for now, because they had like the proximity mines.
Fuck you,
Well, I mean-
Counter-Strike!
Well, I mean, like, I used to play a ton of Counter Strike, so I mean, I really enjoyed that game. But I'm saying, like, with proximity mines and the other fun things that were in GoldenEye that you just
Could
don't
you
see in
use
multiplayer.
Could you use the watch laser in multiplayer?
No.
I don't remember.
Okay, I don't remember either. Yeah, I don't
it
think
was
you
a
could. Yeah.
game mode. I think it was only a specific game mode.
No, they didn't have a game mode. The closest thing to that was Slappers Only.
I love
so
slappers only.
I played that one time and then I never played it again.
The only time you
It
ever used
took
the watch
so
in
long
multiplayer was
to
to detonate
fucking
a
die.
mine.
It's not as bad as the fucking Peace Sims in Perfect Dark that all they do is disarm you. They don't even hurt you, dude.
Oh, that is annoying.
Yeah, that is true.
I remember playing Perfect Dark, and I always played with fucking slow-mo shotguns and N-bombs only. Dude, it got to a point where the N-bombs were out, and it just got so fucking dark I couldn't see shit.
Did I tell you? I ever tell you I did crash the game one time doing N-bombs only?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, we threw so many in the same place that it was like you couldn't see, like, you know how it was like that little sparkly dome with all the pixels moving around? It was
Yeah.
just solid black. That's how many we threw. And then I walked into it, and the game started chugging because we were doing split screen. And then, like, it slowed down a lot. And then somebody else walked into it, and it just stopped. And then the audio stopped. We're like, I'm gonna turn this off, and I'm gonna play NBA Live 94 now.
Yuck.
Dude, I put that game back in recently. I think it was actually like NBA Live 2000 or something, much more recent. But it's a 64 one, and apparently I was a dirty fucking cheat back in the day because I turned all the Spurs into like a super team that gets you like half-court threes, and I have all of the fouls turned off so I can just push people over and take the ball back and win every game like 100-0.
You turn the dunk icons on too?
That's NBA Jam, bro.
I know. Anyway.
Jeff, I think you were trying to interject there.
No, I didn't have enough.
Oh, Roger, you were trying to interject there.
I forgot. I was trying to. That was a long tangent, man. I was like, okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say,
Yeah.
as much as I called the game out earlier, Sean, one of my best memories is the first time you and I played Shaolin Monks, and when we found out we could toss people back and forth, we didn't get
In the air?
Yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
get past that level for like 30 minutes because we were just tossing that dude back and forth.
Yeah, that was good. That was still still to this day it's a great game.
Also, Sega Soccer Slam, which is the most racist game I've ever played.
Dude, that game is so much fucking fun.
It is. The little slowdown when you do the super move, and when you're the El Fuego team, ole,
Yeah.
ole, ole, ole.
El
You do that,
Fuego?
you jump in the air and fucking do that flip.
Yeah, dude. That
Yeah,
shit-
dude's name is El Fuego. He's super strong, looks like a fucking luchador.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I have to say about that. Okay.
Yeah.
You never played Sega Soccer. Alright, Roger, you're gonna have to come by and play Sega Soccer Slam. I still have it actually, Sean.
I've never played any soccer game for a console or for PC.
Sega Soccer Slam is stupid fun because it doesn't play like a soccer game. It plays more like a full-on contact combat game.
Plays like hockey.
Yeah, pretty much. That and Ultimate Muscle. Holy shit, Sean. The memories
Good
from
times.
that.
Oh man, yeah.
I will never forget the day I brought it over the first time when you and I had almost no experience with it. And we punched that first dude 15 feet into the air and then pile drove him. And you and I looked at each other. We were like, oh yeah.
Do y'all remember
'Cause it was
Aliens for the Sega
so-
Genesis?
Oh, God, yes.
God,
Wait.
that just hit me. We're talking about disappointments. I don't know if you remember Aliens,
Aliens?
for the Sega.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Alien for the Sega Genesis. I forget which one it was.
No, I was just asking a question. I don't remember that game.
It existed, and it was okay. It existed. It's like it just hit me like disappointment, and I just had to share that before I lost my
dude.
thought. And I was like, man, that game existed,
You know what?
and I had it.
I would,
And
I would kill for another Ultimate Muscle in the vein of the GameCube one. I really would.
Did you ever play a Galactic Wrestling for PS2?
I didn't. I was going to get it,
I never played it either.
but what I heard
was
was
curious.
that it was very similar, if not a little more refined in gameplay. But the loading times made it nearly unplayable.
Hmm.
So I was like, well, I've got the GameCube one. it's got Jones the Ninth and Panda Man and that Jeff. I don't know if we ever told you that story. That's where Jones the Ninth originated. Sean was making his
Yeah, I think I
character
remember you telling me
on
about
Ultimate
that.
Muscle, and he put in Jones, and then couldn't think of anything else. I was like, just put like the fucking ninth on there, bro. Just leave a legacy that doesn't exist.
It was fucking. I had made some dude with pincer fucking a pincer head and some shit, and I was like, dude, I don't know what to fucking call him. And you're like, I don't know, dude, call him Jones the Ninth or something. I was like, nah. Nah, that's fucking dumb. And then I'm sitting there for another 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, Jones the Ninth it is.
It's growing on me.
It did. In that 10 minutes, it grew on me.
That's right. I was like, I don't fucking know, dude. Jones the Ninth. There you go. The latest in a long line of Jones. You really, at some point, by the way, Sean, you should just like start incrementing your created wrestlers with a later Roman numeral.
Yeah, you guys know me. I only really ever make one. My creation days
No,
are
I mean
over.
like each year it comes out, it should just be the next Jones. Be like Jones
You've
the 10th,
returned
Oh.
from the
Jones
game.
the 11th, Jones the 12th.
Well, no, Jeff. Back in the day, with the older Smackdowns, like Just Bring It and Here Comes the Pain, dude,
Yeah.
I would go insane
Speaking of
with
that,
characters, man.
Speaking of that, you remember those special ref matches we used to have back then? We'd play. When
I
it,
wish
when it first went
I wish I could
online-
find that page, man.
When it first went online, Jeff, like on the PS2 days, Sean and I would host special referee matches.
Yeah.
And one of us would be the ref, and the other one would be one of the participants. And of course, our gamer tags had nothing in common or anything like that. So we were like, "Cool, special ref match," and then somebody would join, and then we would immediately just beat the dog piss out of them for like 20 minutes. And one of the GameFAQs boards at the time, I don't know if they've wiped or something like that, but that's where I saw it and told you about it later, Sean. We got listed for people not to play with.
that's
I wish I could have found that shit.
It's like, don't play with these fuckers. We also used to fucking tear it up on SOCOM too, though. You remember that shit, right?
Oh yeah, man.
I don't even remember the
Fucking
name of the map.
Sujo.
Sujo, that was it. Yeah. Fucking mining
I don't know
that
why
shit
I
up.
remember that, but I always remember that.
Yeah,
Sujo.
dude, fucking mining that shit up. Waiting for people to come downstairs. Yeah, that was the shit. Ah, the PS2 era, bro.
Yeah.
Early PS2 era, because that was when we had what was that other war game with it was the 4-player one where you had like your fire team.
Rainbow Six, Tom Clancy.
Conflict, Desert Storm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Conflict,
I think you had that. I think I played it over at your house.
Yeah, yeah. We were big into that at the time. That was one of those first ones that tried to kind of push the whole team dynamic more so than SOCOM. SOCOM was just, hey, fuckface, go over there.
SOCOM never really got better than 2.
No, it didn't.
Really?
It kind of went down to a dark hole that good things never come out of.
What was it? SOCOM 3 and then SOCOM 4 Confrontation or some shit like that?
And then there was Fireteam Bravo and that other one on PSP.
Oh, for PSP, yeah.
Yeah. They weren't good. I can't say good things about them.
they weren't good. No.
Jeff, you got another gaming memory?
Not really.
I got a good one for you guys, and it's probably the funniest one, and if there's still anybody in your chat, they're going to love this, Roger. When I was turning probably about 11 or 12, this would have been like big-time Super Nintendo games, Super Nintendo Genesis days. We had my birthday party at my house, and like, you know, a bunch of people came over because kids at the time and what have you, and somebody's throwing a party, free cake, that kind of shit. So there's a bunch of kids over there, and I think the Super Nintendo, might have been going into like the PlayStation 1 64 days, but you know, all the adults, all the parents are over there talking and drinking and whatever the fuck parents do, and all the kids are around playing games and shit. And then at some point, my mom walks out of the kitchen, and my grandmother, who's the one who actually bought me my NES originally, is down there showing us how to get past this level on this game. She was the one. She was the one who helped me get most of the Pokédex done the first time too, because she had bought. I bought red, and she went and bought blue, and then played through with me.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. My grandma, before she got Nintendo Thumb, was big into games back in the day. Between her and my uncle, that's what really got me into games.
I remember having to like fight my dad to play either Red Alert or Total Annihilation on the computer because he loved those games.
Fuck yeah.
Not Command and Conquer. Red Alert.
Oh, straight back. Oh, damn. Okay.
Yeah, I remember like.
Wait, was it just something different before Command and Conquer?
There's like Red Alert and there's like Red Alert 2.
Yeah, they were Command and Conquer games, but they were like slapping the label on everything. They retroactively put the titles on them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's what I'm remembering because I thought they were Command and Conquer games.
Yeah,
but yeah,
they're
that was,
in the Command and Conquer
Yeah.
box now, because they're considered Command and Conquer games.
Oh, here's a memory.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking FMVs, man. Remember when those were fucking
Oh
cool?
man.
Fucking Night Trap, bro.
Said no one ever.
Speaking of, you know what? I loved like when the newer Red Alerts came out, how they brought back those FMV because it's so cheesy. It just felt good.
Yeah.
No, I honestly enjoyed FMVs. Like, remember Jedi Knight 2? I enjoyed almost all of those FMVs, man.
That was fucking terrible.
They're good if they don't take them
Myst
seriously.
did that kind of shit, right?
Yeah, Myst did that as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, Sean, you remember the when City of Heroes first came out and you talked me into playing it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, the Crimson Chicken and whatever the fuck, Cerebellum. That was your character's name because you thought you thought that shit was clever.
Hey, I was the first one, man.
Oh my god. Do you guys remember Army Men World at War?
Oh, God.
Someone in chat
Jesus.
mentioned that.
I had Army Men on the 64. I don't know if it was Sarge's Heroes or whatever the name of it was.
It was Sarge's Heroes. I had it for the 64 as well.
Played the tits off it before one day I just realized, like, I put it in and I started playing it and I was like, this is a fucking terrible game. Why am I playing this?
But it felt good. Like,
I think I played it. It had multiplayer, didn't it? Because I remember playing it with you.
Yeah, you and I played it, and we also played the one with the chopper, or at least the game mode I think that had the chopper, where you had to like pick the people up and drop them off from the top.
And you could pick like different like classes, couldn't you?
Yes,
or at
you
least
could.
get different weapons or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we played the fuck out of that, and then I lost
Some of that shit was hard.
Yeah, it was.
Or it could get hard.
that
Absolutely.
was the fun game.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hey, how many people are in chat? Does anybody else have a question? I'll take a couple of questions. We
I
have some
got
time
I
left.
got one person. So
Oh.
if he wants to say what he wants, go ahead.
All right, chat guy, whatever your name is, I'm gonna call you.
It's actually Goldeneye
Oh, it is
007
Goldeneye
HD. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks for hanging around, man. That's awesome. If you have any other questions, throw them at us. We got a little time left before we're gonna end this one, but in the meantime, we'll keep regaling you with stories of us growing up and being stupid about games.
All is life.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Sean, you remember when you bought me the WoW Battle Chest when that came out, and I played it for my free month and then canceled my account? I'm like, no, I'm not getting into that shit again.
I did not buy you the battle chest. I think somebody you worked with bought it.
No, you bought me the Battle Chest. I
For WoW?
specifically remember you giving me the WoW Battle Chest for my birthday. It was for my birthday one year.
I mean, I'll take credit for it, but I don't think that was me.
No, it was definitely you.
Wait.
All right.
Are we talking like World of Warcraft, or are we talking Warcraft?
No, we're talking World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft.
Okay.
I actually, speaking of Battle Chests, I have 2 copies of the Diablo Battle Chest.
Are you talking Diablo 2, and Lord of Destruction?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have 2 copies of that Battle Chest.
Hmm.
Because my original copy of Lords of Destruction, the disc was cracked to where you couldn't install from that disc, but you could play off that disc if it was already installed. So I bought a second copy to install on my cousin's computer, but use the CD key from the first copy so he could play with that disc. And it worked out, and it worked great. And we were able to play Diablo 2 Lords of Destruction together, so I have 2 copies of the Battle Chest because of that. And I also have multiple copies of Brood War for others.
Yeah, speaking of Brood War, remember when CD keys were a rare thing? And one of your buddies was like, "Hey man, I'm trying to play StarCraft. Don't worry." And you're like, "I'll get you a copy. Just give me a disc." And you burn it, and he's got a free copy of
Dude,
StarCraft
I
Brood War.
still have like 6 copies of Diablo because of that.
Oh,
Not to
man.
mention my 2 in my battle chest. I still have like 4 other copies of Diablo because we gave that shit out to everybody back in the day.
How horrifying was it back in the day when you would have a game and your computer would wipe or something would happen and you had lost your CD key?
Oh, Jesus,
And,
dude.
and you wanted to play that game, like, I really want to play this game, and you just don't have the CD key, so you're just
I
shit
lost
out of
my
luck.
CD key to Half-Life for the longest time. And I was so
Oh
good.
man.
For our one live viewer, and anybody else who watches this or listens to this retroactively, Half-Life is one of, if not Jeff's favorite games. So that to him is like losing a testicle.
Oh, man. Speaking of games that sucked, no.
Hey, Jeff, speaking of CD keys, I remember putting my CD key in for Half-Life 2, and I was typing it in, and there was like, I don't know, let's say it's like fucking 9 or 16 letters, I don't know. I get done with my 3rd set of letters, and just on a lark, I hit enter, and it works, and I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no.
What did I
And
do?
I end up getting to a part of the game, and the game keeps freezing on me, and I'm like, oh shit. And so I ended up having to go find a code, or like a console command to get me past that level, and ended up finishing the game. But I was so scared, because I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to finish the game.
Dude, it's funny. I remember when Half-Life 2 came out, and I got it day 1 because I wanted to play it so bad. And my laptop, or I only had a laptop at the time, and it wouldn't even play it at low. It would play it at like dial-up settings. And so I was sitting there fucking like 20-minute loading, to get to the next area and everything. I'm like, I don't even fucking care. I gotta fucking play this game.
This is Half-Life 2. This is the shit.
Here's a couple other chat questions.
All right, cool.
What's your thoughts on Perfect Dark, Xbox Live Arcade, and also have you ever played any of the Time Splitters games?
I fucking love Time Splitters.
Yeah, Time Splitters aside,
Up to Future Perfect.
Time Splitters aside, I was really glad the Perfect Dark came out on the 360 because we played the shit out of that as well.
Oh yeah, we definitely we as much as we shit on games and stuff like that, we do enjoy. Like Jeff
We were
and I,
even gonna make a video at one point.
we were
never
gonna make
got
a
around to
video
that.
at one point when it was first coming out. I remember that Jeff and I started a rivalry that we'd never had before because we talked about Goldeneye and Perfect Dark before, and then we started talking shit about who was better, and that came to a head when it actually came online and we could play each other. And
But
Jeff,
Perfect Dark Zero was fucking Are you talking about Perfect Dark for Xbox Live
No,
Arcade?
Yeah,
no,
we're talking
the-
about Live Arcade.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus
But nobody
Christ.
talks about Perfect Dark Zero.
Jesus Christ.
No, Jeff whooped the tits off me for anybody wondering on that one. But no, that we definitely enjoyed it. I will say that the graphics looked really strange at first, being smoothed out, coming from the polygonal
Oh, yeah.
shithole that was the 64.
They had fingers, man.
I know,
they had
dude.
fingers and actual
I'm not
fists.
used to Johanna Dark having fingers, man.
Yeah.
The word like penguin hands, like
but-
it was great.
Anytime anybody asks me about Time Splitters and why I enjoy it, I ask them what other game could start you out with a Wild West breakout of a future version of yourself and end with you fighting monkeys.
Which game are you talking about? The
That
second
was
one or the
Future
third
Perfect,
one?
I think it was Future
That's-
Perfect.
That's the Future Perfect is the third one, right?
Yeah.
I have to say I wasn't a fan of Time Splitters in the beginning because it was a launch title for PS2 and it was absolutely horse shit.
2 and Future
But-
Perfect were really good though.
They redeemed themselves with 2 and Future Perfect. I never played 2 or Future Perfect, but I read nothing and heard nothing but great things about them.
It's everything you would want a shooter that doesn't take itself seriously. Basically what you would have wanted out of Duke Nukem Forever to be. And it's a shame that team's not really working, not going to be doing Time Splitters anymore.
Who was the team? Because they did some other shit
It
too.
was... Fuck, I'm having a brain fart and I feel bad. Let me go look it up.
You should feel bad.
Yeah.
Because they did
Come on, Luke.
the mediocre Mindgate conspiracy knockoff Second Sight.
Yes, they did. Oh, I can't.
I can't remember
the
what their name was.
The name's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't remember it. Roger, what are your feelings on Time Splitters, or did you never play?
Free Radical.
Free
I
There you
Radical.
go.
Fuck yeah.
There you go.
Free Radical.
That's a good sounding name too.
Yeah. You never played it? Is that what you
I
said?
never played it. Yeah.
Oh man, you were missing out. Time Splitters, fucking great games, man. I miss having games that were that just fun to play, because there's not too many that are just straight up that fun to play anymore.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, is it one of those ones I could go back and play? Or would it
Absolutely.
be, like,
Oh yeah.
2 and Future Perfect, absolutely. Like, no
They actually
question.
looked pretty decent for the time too.
That's right. Free Radical became part of Crytek. That's what they went and did, and that's why they don't make fucking Time Splitters anymore.
Okay.
They were, yeah. Because now all they make is Crisis games. And then they got shit canned, didn't they, a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're around anymore.
Yeah,
They've probably been dissolved into other shit.
yeah. Well, that's what
Man.
happens when you release Crisis 3.
Yeah,
Just like the
Crytek.
Con-
They became Crytek UK. Yeah.
Like, have y'all ever been like, for sort of memories go, like sad whenever studios close down and you're like,
When-
shit, man.
A few times when
Sing.
LucasArts.
no, LucasArts by that point had dissolved their goodwill with me.
Ah.
Black Isle, when they went down,
Mm.
that was a sad day. When Irrational became, or when Looking Glass became Irrational, I think that's what it was. They lost some team there, but when they transferred over to their Looking Glass Studios, going down was pretty bad. And then when the original SNK dropped off, just because they make a fucking great fighting game, dude. All things aside,
Hmm.
and they kind
I'm
of
still I'm still mourning loss of Sing.
What happened
What?
to them after the second Hotel Dusk?
They got bankrupt.
Oh, Sing did Hotel Dusk and both Hotel Dusk games and both Trace Memory games, or Another
Well,
Code.
Another Code.
as they're known, which are all fantastic visual novel style games. Kind of paved the way for Capcom to sweep in with Ace Attorney and Level 5 to drop Professor Layton as a more kid-friendly style of them, because they were more like adult style ones. But they were really, really good games, every single one of them. And yeah, Sing is a tough loss to the industry too.
Free Radical also did Haze. Also a terrible game.
That's why nobody cared
Ah.
about Free Radical anymore.
Yeah.
Haze was fucking awful. Yeah. I hope chat was happy with the response to Time Splitters, because I forgot about Time Splitters. I gotta say, I like the idea of doing the podcast live at the same time as recording it. This is, especially if we can start getting more people to actually show up to Roger's channel.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
Roger, what the fuck, man?
I'm working on it.
Hey, you remember when Tenchu?
Checks are in the mail.
You remember when Tenchu was something? When Tenchu was something people cared about?
What?
Oh, dude, Tenchu stopped being relevant after fucking the second one, man. I'm not saying the second one was bad. 1 and 2
Stopped
were
being
good.
relevant after Wrath
and
of
then-
Heaven.
I played
And
the
then-
demo for the one on 360 and I hated
Wasn't
it.
that 3? Wasn't 3 Wrath of Heaven?
3 was Wrath of Heaven, but it was
Because that
it
was
decent.
PS2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tenchu Z, Jeff, is the one you're referring to.
Yeah, Tenchu Z. I did not like
Where you
that
could
at all.
create your own ninja, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was hilariously bad. It really was. It was very dated by the time it had come out. It was kind of the two worlds of stealth games.
Wow. You
Yeah.
guys keep talking about Two Worlds. I've seen it, but I've never
Oh my
seen it
god.
actually played.
Two Worlds was awesomely bad even with other people because I remember playing with Luke and I can't remember who else I played with. I almost want to say Kenshin.
It was bad.
But
noob.
it was so infamously bad that it really turned me off of RPGs and open world landscape for a long time.
It ruined
Was
a
it
whole
like a-
genre for you.
Was it like a Skyrim clone?
Well, I would
wanted
say
to
it was
be.
more like
It wanted to be.
I almost want to say Divinity, but I know you didn't play that.
I really didn't. Yeah.
Two Worlds was so bad it actually made Oblivion a worse game than it should have been.
It was Sean. It was kind of like in the vein of The Witcher. Kind of. I don't even
Was
want to
it
make that
Was it third person?
reference, but
Yes.
yeah, it was third person. But
Okay.
no, I got a better one. I know you played it for a little bit. It was like Neverwinter, but even worse.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
not massively multiplayer. There was
Right.
online, but it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't an MMO.
Okay.
And Two Worlds 2, believe it or not, was an improvement by about
I like your
I didn't
hesitation.
play it.
by about 1%. It was a graphical improvement. It was still a
Ah.
fucking terrible game. So yeah,
that's
those
funny.
those were incredibly laughable games. Roger's chat just enjoying the nonsense now.
Yeah.
Cool. We have about 5 more minutes on this one, guys. Any last
All right, let's
minute?
start 20 new conversations.
Yeah, any last minute memories or other games we want to bring up real quick?
I just want to bring up Westwood Studios. I want to
Oh,
pour one out for my
God.
homie for not being with us
The
anymore.
best part about that, Roger, that you're gonna love is when they went down. The first thing I could remember, the first thing that came to my head was like, not the guys who did PC Monopoly.
Wait, what studio?
Westwood.
Oh,
No.
Westwood.
Yeah,
They're
What were
known
they-
for what?
Roger.
They were known for Command and Conquer. And-
I know
okay.
them from
What-
something else.
What I love for them from Command and Conquer is there's one of the few like RTSs like other than StarCraft that I really enjoyed, and it was for like different reasons. While StarCraft was like super serious in some ways, Command and Conquer just didn't give any fucks towards the end. They were like, you know
How
what? We have dolphins with shit on their heads, and we have this guy with a giant toxic thing that shoots stuff into the ground, and they
Hey,
just didn't
how did you-
care.
How did you like General?
oh
Its
shit!
first foray into 3D.
Generals? I
Yeah.
actually really liked Generals.
Okay.
Again, like it never took itself seriously, and that's what I enjoyed about the series. While it was still a fun one to play, and they were developing a new Command and Conquer game, and I was horribly excited for it. You know,
You
a
talking
new
about
alert.
Tiberium?
I don't remember. No, they're actually developing a new one, and then it got canceled.
Oh shit! I remember the other game I
And
played from Westwood. Sorry.
From
go
what I
ahead.
heard, like too, like it was actually looking out to be really good. Where
You're talking
it was-
about the first-person shooter, right?
No. I'm talking about
Okay.
another RTS other than StarCraft. Thank God
Okay.
that like was actually good, and you could do build orders, and there are different strategies you can play with. But EA said, you know what, fuck it, and just pulled the plug on it.
They
And got rid of the studio.
they worked with Virgin to make the Lion King game.
The other game I remember from them is a game I bet none of you guys have played. It was called Nox.
Oh my God, I loved Nox. That's right.
Okay.
I have fond
you did
memories.
play. Yeah, Nox was an interesting little game that I
PC.
never could get to run correctly, but it was fun when I did get to play it.
Multiplayer was great,
Yeah,
actually,
it was.
which was just strange for a top-down dungeon perspective. Like that was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It was kind of a Diablo-esque game for for people who don't know, but not exactly the same. It's kind of like Diablo crossed with Baldur's Gate.
But much more glossy.
Yeah, very glossy. Everything had a sheen.
Are you gonna are you keeping track of time? Are you gonna sign off or?
Yeah, I'm gonna sign off. Actually, thank you for saying that because I just checked the time again. Minute and a half remaining, so we're gonna do a little sign off here. First off, I do want to give one small shout out to the other podcasts that I guest on, who've been nice enough to give us a couple shout outs as well. The guys over at Blast Ape doing the Save Room podcast. Some friends of mine, I do hop over there on occasion and join them for that. Good guys, check them out. I think it's blastape.tumblr.com if I'm not mistaken. Is it
Yeah.
Tumblr?
Good name.
Yeah.
It's Tumblr.
Yeah.
Messed it up. They're gonna hate you now.
Yep, blastape.tumblr.com. Also, if you want to check out some more shit from us that we have done, and where this will go up if you want a recap of this, if you're listening to this later, youtube.com/special set of skills. You will see the name Filthy Casuals now since we've recently rebranded. And we do Let's Plays, we do clip show videos, we do Jeff ranting about shit and all kinds of stuff. And we also do our buddy Ron, who couldn't make it tonight for this one, just going batshit crazy on Assassin's Creed 3.
And I'm an independent woman.
And yeah, Roger's an independent woman who don't need no man. You can find him on his Skype or his Twitch channel. His Twitch channel, Roger.
Oh, CG Roger V.
There you go. You can find him there. He streams mostly Nuclear Throne. He's trying to be the Nuclear Throne guy, and he's not doing a good job of it because Nuclear Throne is not a game that you beat.
I'm trying to be the guy that you come, you have a good time, and you don't judge me, because please don't. I'm horrible.
Yeah, Nuclear Nuclear Throne is, as I said earlier, it's the civil rights board game of video games. You don't win, you just do a little better each time.
Yeah.
So that's all that. Me, Jeff, and Sean can mostly be found on the YouTube doing whatever. Sean has been quite a prolific guest and basically one of the crew for quite a few videos, mostly the GTA stuff. Jeff and I did an entire run-through of Saints Row 2 in addition to some other clip show stuff. And Jeff has his solo series on random PC games that he enjoys and gets perverse story out of, like Lucius. So there's that.
God.
With more coming soon. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for those of you who hopped in, or I guess all one of you who hopped in for the live stream. You're a champ. Thank you for sitting through all this
There was
nonsense.
two.
Oh, there were two. So you two were champs. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time.